Okay, I'll introduce myself and let the Independence officer introduce himself. My name is Sergeant Andy Bell with the Missouri State Highway Patrol, Troop A, Public Information Officer.
I'm Officer Jack Taylor. I'm with the Independence Police Department, and I'm the Public Information Officer for Independence.
We're going to just provide some brief preliminary information. What we know now is that roughly 11:30 this morning, 2 Independence police officers responded to an address just right around the corner here. Upon that initial call, there was some kind of tip, and we're going to be exploring what that was, that a person may have been wanted for something. That in itself will be investigated more thoroughly. What we do know is the officers responded to the address and were met by a suspect that fired upon the officers. One officer was struck by the suspect's gunfire, a handgun. That officer has been transported for serious injuries. We do not have a current condition of that officer other than it was a serious critical injury. The other officer at the time of the shooting returned fire, striking the suspect. That suspect was pronounced deceased here at the scene. The Missouri State Highway Patrol, Division of Drug and Crime Control, has an investigative scene here now. Those officers will be looking for all physical evidence, interviewing witnesses, and exploring any and all evidence. This is really the only information that I have right now that's concrete that I can share with you. We would give you an update as soon as we know that. The most reliable source of our update right now, where we can cover all the different media outlets, will be on our Twitter account. Okay? So just stay tuned to any post by Twitter account. Do you all have any questions for the Missouri Highway Patrol at this time?
Was this, did it start out at a residential address?
That's correct. Yes.
And where was that injury, the serious injury? Do we know what part of the body it struck?
Yeah, I don't want to speak to that right now because I wasn't there and I haven't been specifically, told in a lot of different information. So.
Does the Drug and Crime Control team always respond to stuff like this, or why did they specifically respond?
So we have a relationship with the outside agencies, of course, to include Independence Police Department and an officer-involved shooting. We have reached an understanding that upon request we will come to their aid to investigate the officer-involved shooting aspect of it. So yes, that's not uncommon.
Is there a reason why Kansas City police were here too?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's an officer-involved shooting, right? And Kansas City's right next door. So any and all available officers are going to come to the aid of such a critical situation.
So you're thinking the suspect fired on the officers because he was wanted? He was wanted for something?
Yeah, so that's going to be part of the investigation. We just don't know those answers.
Did the officers that responded, did they know about that tip when they were approaching the house that they were called out to?
Again, the nature of the call will have to be examined a little bit more in detail, right?
Okay.
So, the dispatch that took the call, that entered the call, those are going to be some ways to look into that to exactly find out what kind of tip was this, other than, hey, there might be some, wanted individual at this address. But those are some details we just don't have a lot right now.
Are these uniform or plainclothes officers?
The uniform officers with Independence Police Department.
Do you know how long? Sorry, go ahead.
Do you know what the original call was for that the officers were responding?
Yeah, and I think that's what we just answered. Yeah. All right.
How do you put all this into perspective? An officer shot today, a suspect passed away. What's your takeaway from this?
Well, I mean, it sends chills down my spine having to answer that question, right? So we all know that life is precious and we take a lot of things for granted, and officers are called to respond to a various amount of calls, whether it's check the welfare, right? Maybe someone's not feeling well and hasn't been heard from for several days, and you knock on that door, you just don't know what's on the other side of that door. To think that things can't be resolved peacefully, even if you had a warrant, why can't it be resolved peacefully? The officers are trained, they do their best to resolve everything they can peacefully. And it is heartbreaking that violence of this nature could potentially take someone's life, like this officer, and has taken a life of another individual.
Do we know approximate age of the suspect?
We're working to confirm the identity. The only thing I have right now is it's a white male. That's the only kind of descriptive characteristics I have right now.
Witnesses said that they saw other officers kind of running down the street with their guns. Is that just normal response to when a shooting happens?
Sure, there's chaos. There's been gunfire, so there's a very all hands on deck response.
The shooting happened like in the front yard of a residence, or
I haven't been down there.
or-
I don't know that. Yeah, don't know.
Can you say if there's anything involved with the bank, or is it just
Nope.
proximity?
Just in proximity is all. The street here is that we're looking at is South Northern Boulevard, and you go about a block
Yeah, it's about
down, a block down there at a residence.
Yes.
Okay.
What are the next steps?
Yeah, so this is where we take time to analyze critical pieces of evidence that are here at the scene that are present. Then we want to talk to any witnesses in the surrounding neighborhood. Obviously, like what was the original nature of the call, right? We want to explore that. Lots of different things are going to take place over a course of several weeks, not days, but several weeks, maybe even months, for our investigators to work as a team with Independence Police Department, trying to gather any and all data.
Sorry, one last question. Support for officers, independent, my condolences, Independence officers, what kind of support is available now? Has to be a tough day for everybody.
Well, the initial support is what you see. There's a lot of brothers and sisters in blue today that are providing any kind of resource available. Beyond that, we have local chaplains within our police departments. We have local clergy. That's where we all turn to. Most all of us will turn to. Any other questions that I could answer? Again, look for an update if we can get you one. I can't give you a time frame on when that update would come. Obviously, there's lots of different things going on, but our Twitter account will allow us to speak to all of you all at once to give that information briefly and concisely.
Any
Okay?
idea of how many shots were fired? Either way,
I don't.
total?
I do not know that.
Just want to clarify, you said the suspect was a male?
Yes,
Okay.
Is anyone in custody?
that I'm aware of.
I'm not looking for any other suspects.
Not that I'm aware of. Okay. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.